Hello YouTube, John Crisp here. Model aviation is a passion in my life, and it's at risk with the proposed remote ID legislation. Here's my story. In the video where I share my comments to the FAA, I missed that you can add attachments. I will be adding this narrative to my comments, and I encourage you to do the same. I am Model Aviation. It runs through my fiber and the fabric of my life. This passion is fueled by aviation. It's led to technical interests that many in aviation seem to share. It provided a clear path to building, critical thinking, flying, technical, and time management skills that have provided a path to a successful career. Imagine youth today not having this path. Imagine how much poorer this country will be with a dwindling talent pool for the aviation industry. This is what is at risk with this legislation. I have designed and built hundreds of model airplanes, from gliders to giant-scale radio-controlled aircraft. I have helicopters, planes, drones, FPV. If it flies, I'm fascinated. I have over 1,500 hours as pilot in command and certified in over 40 types of aircraft, and I'm glider and tail dragger endorsed. My earliest memory of aviation was receiving a gift of plastic airplane toys. One was a Fokker Triplane. It made an impact. I grew up around aviation. My grandfather worked for Boeing during World War II, and my father worked on many major aviation programs from the Rockwell Aero Commander and included the B-2, F-22, and F-16. Going to the plant for family days, I watched Bob Hoover flying the Aero Commander and the P-51 Mustang. I was intrigued. For my 8th birthday, I asked for an airplane ride, and on a summer day in 1975, the family piled into our silver VW Bug and headed for Wiley Post Airport. My brother and sister jumped into the back of a Piper, the pilot climbed in, and I got to sit in the right seat, the co-pilot seat. The pilot was the legend, Bob Hoover. He let me take the controls during that flight. My brother and sister turned green, and I was hooked. I still have the smile on my face from that day. The next year, the Fokker Triplane entered my life again. The Great Waldo Pepper came out. I sat in the movie theater fascinated. I was in awe when Waldo walked around a hangar and saw the great Ernst Kessler triplane for the first time. His reaction and mine matched. I knew that day I was going to own one. Around this time, I started building model airplanes, plastic kits and control line, learning the craft from Mr. Kellett, an avid control line builder that lived locally. I also bought my first control line kit, the little jumping bean, and I cut grass for money to buy supplies. Testing designs and flying control line lasted into high school, but my sights were set on RC. How satisfying is it to build an airplane with your own hands and then be able to fly it? I find it difficult to put into words. All the trades are at risk with the current generation of our youth, in my opinion. And all of the skills that revolve around aviation are at risk if there's not an easy path to onboard young minds. Video games, social media, are barriers to get young people interested in the hobby. Take away the ability of EAA and Young Eagles and the AMA in their efforts to impact young minds, and the gap for the attention of our younger generation is even more at risk. My first RC airplane was an Ace RC Wizard that I bought around my 10th birthday. I built it but couldn't afford the several $100s for a basic radio. That goal would happen in high school. I continued building models while I was growing skills that I knew I would need if I were ever to acquire a Fokker triplane. I also knew that I needed technical skills to become a pilot. I did a ton of research through the junior high and high school years, but by the time I was heading to college, I knew the only way to acquire a triplane was to build one. I took the path of becoming a pilot, and it was through Air Force ROTC as a pilot candidate when I got my license at 18. I continued to build radio-controlled airplanes. Fast forward to 1998, I discovered Robert Bosley and Aerodrome Airplanes website. Robert offered a 3/4 scale DR1 kit. I called Robert and reached out to find if there were any builders in my area. None were close, but I kept Robert in mind with a new goal of acquiring a kit, and I kept building and flying radio control. By 2004, I had established a successful career in internet technology and reached out to Robert and put a triplane kit on order. 10 years later, I did my first flight on a triplane, and the thrill of building and flying something that was built with my own hands, with the help of many others, would be lost without that initial spark. Aviation provides a community, gratification on an immense level, and many other benefits. Let's share the passion and keep the hobby alive.